Scene. 10 years later, reunion. Inside the same diner a decade later, older bikers sit at a booth. The grown-up siblings, now young adults, hand an envelope to Rick. He reads the note, smiling through tears. Realistic American diner lighting. Emotional realism, soft evening glow. Jack went back inside the diner and told his biker friends what he had seen. The laughter faded instantly. These were men known for their strength, but now silence filled the room. Their leader, Rick Dalton, a gruff man with gray streaks in his beard, put down his coffee. "No kid should sit out there hungry," he said quietly. Without hesitation, they all dug into their wallets, tossing bills on the counter. The waitress, who had overheard, handed them paper bags and pointed to the store next door. Moments later, the bikers returned with milk, bread, and sandwiches. When Jack offered the food to the kids, the boys' eyes widened. "We can't take this, sir. Mima says not to take from strangers." Rick knelt, his voice soft. "You're not taking. We're giving." The boy reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, torn note. It was written in uneven, childish letters. "Please pay for the milk. We'll return the money when we grow up." The bikers stared at it, their eyes wet. Rick's voice broke as he said, "Kid, you just did pay us, more than you know." The little girl smiled shyly, clutching the milk, while the men stood in silent awe of their courage. The bikers stayed with the kids for hours, listening to their story unfold between shaky breaths and tearful pauses. Their mother, Maria, had been a waitress in town until she got sick. 2 weeks ago, she left to find help and never came back. Since then, the children had been living behind the diner, surviving on scraps and leftover milk. Jack's throat tightened as he watched the boy try to act brave for his sister. She said, "Never take anything you can't repay," the boy whispered. Rick turned away for a moment, his jaw clenched. "That woman raised them right," he murmured. The bikers huddled together and made a decision without needing many words. That night, they rented a motel room for the kids and called a local social worker named Janet, explaining everything. Before falling asleep, the little girl smiled faintly and said, "We'll pay you back when we grow up." Rick chuckled, brushing away a tear. "You just focus on growing up, sweetheart." The next morning, as the social worker arrived, the bikers stood by their motorcycles and watched the car drive away, the kids waving from the back seat. None of them spoke, but every man there silently made the same promise. 10 years later, the same Montana diner stood quietly beside the open highway. Inside, the familiar rumble of motorcycles filled the air as Rick, Jack, and the remaining bikers gathered for their annual ride. They had never forgotten those 2 kids, often wondering what became of them. As they shared stories over coffee, the bell above the door jingled. 2 young adults stepped inside, a tall young man and a woman with a warm smile. For a moment, no one recognized them. Then the young man said, "Are you Mr. Rick Dalton?" Rick looked up, surprised. "That's me," he replied. The boy smiled. "You helped us a long time ago." Outside this diner, he handed Rick a small envelope. Inside was a $10 bill and a note written in neat handwriting, "For the milk. We told you we'd return it." Rick's hands trembled as he read the words. "You really remembered," he whispered. The young woman nodded, her eyes shining. "You taught us what kindness means." Rick smiled through tears. "And you proved it still matters." The group stood, raising their coffee cups in silent tribute. Outside, the sun dipped low, casting gold across the road, just like the day their story began.